Riff? Someone say riff?
What the fuck? Is that, do you have a keyboard?
Synthesizer?
Yeah, I just have my keyboard right next to my computer for any potential jingles.
Play some jams, yeah.
No.
Wow.
I'm not confident enough to do it for a live studio audience.
How dare you? DPS podcast. Here is the link to the stream. Ha 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 ha. Wow wow.
I'm very excited. Ooh, hey, hey.
There's a person in town called the Techno Mage. I like that. I like that a lot.
Oh wait, yeah.
Nice.
We're live. We're live.
Oh no.
Live with the DPS podcast. It's Saturday night. What?
It's Tuesday night. Ho ho ho! Tara's at a function right now that has a bunch of wine and cheese, and she's gonna try to sneak out a bunch of cheese and bring it home. I'm pretty excited about it.
Nice.
If she doesn't bring home the cheese,
Oh, hell
she's
yeah.
certainly gonna whine.
So here's an interesting thing.
We'll see.
In the game, when I hit my inventory, I can't see any of it. Like, I can mouse over it, but it's just blank.
Wait, say again? I'm sorry. I
Like,
pulled
in
up
my
the
inventory,
stream
everything is... Oh, there we go. It just took forever to load in. Took a very long time.
That's lame.
Unplayable!
Broken game, am I right?
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, what kind of phones do you guys have?
I have an iPhone 6S.
Success.
I'm just kidding. I think I have the exact same phone.
I have a Galaxy Note 8.
He's got a Galaxy Note 8. Wa-da-doo-doo-da-da-da.
Okay, my
Why?
follow-up question to Justin
Yes.
is: do you listen to podcasts?
Not on a regular basis.
I just wanted to talk about how much I hate the. It's not even very new at this point, but the podcast interface for iOS. It like used to be perfect, and then sorry, I'm launching the game. It used to be like perfect. It was so easy to like click on a podcast and like find the one you're like, okay, what's the next one in the list? And now, so I'm watching like old archived episodes of, or listening to, I guess, of Critical Role, and it takes like, I don't know, I guess if you're including the click to open up the app, I feel like it takes like 5 clicks or something to get to the next episode, whereas previously it would take maybe 2.
That's too much.
It's really annoying.
Keith, do you use Spotify Premium?
I do. Should I listen through there?
It probably is on there. I'm just checking right now.
I-
Actually, maybe not. Oh wait.
I'm gonna look up alternative ways to listen to podcasts on iOS because I hate.
So I don't listen to that many podcasts, but I am familiar with the annoyance of the built-in podcast interface. I completely agree.
There must be alternatives for iOS now. I mean, because it's not really like like getting podcasts through iTunes is integrated, but the way that podcasts work is not like an integrated Apple thing. You know, it's just an RSS feed, so you should be able to get something that is an RSS feed. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear like Stitcher. I mean, if you just Google like podcast alternatives, I know there's a bunch of them for Android, but I use Spotify when I can. I don't really have anything else for an alternative.
You heard it here first,
Well, I like
folks.
everything else.
The DPS podcast uses Spotify. Spotify, the main source for all of your streaming needs. Thanks for that check, Spotify. Cha-ching, am I right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Incinerate.
Gonna pay the bills. Alright. I did my bi-weekly thing where I have to like scroll, like hit every key on my keyboard to try to figure out which one is social. And I see All right, I found Justin, and Brett's still not online.
God!
What else is new?
Yeah, it's not logging me in. I hit log in and it. There we go.
I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear your
I just
excuses.
I can't deal with it today.
Sorry.
I'm actually sick of it. I just
sick
cleared
of
out my
it.
stash.
I'm sorry.
Ooh,
Just
I'm
make
sick
life
of it.
complicated.
I'm going to leave town, and I'm gonna come back. And
Me too.
And then I'm gonna drop in an Arner that I found for Justin.
An Arner? Or armor?
Yeah, an Arnor. Where are you, Justin? I saw you for a second.
I
Now
just
you're-
warped out, and I'm gonna come back. I want to try this new skill that I just got. I'm pretty excited about it, but
stinking skilled.
I need
What?
to find
You
it.
got frost lightning?
Invite me to the party.
Invite me to the party. Brett just
Okay.
wants to
Figure
be
out
in.
which button is social. Okay, there we go.
Oh my god! I just want to find a single enemy. Why can I not find any? There we go. Jesus.
Thank you, Dandelion.
Okay. Okay. Well, this doesn't seem to work. Oh, that's because it's still Ray Zombie. Okay. I'm excited about this. This is way better. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
So what's up?
What is your new lighted spell, Justin?
I have a long-range fire ray, and I have a short-range fire ray. I'm pretty excited about it.
Now you got all the ranges of it.
What do they do? Perchance.
One goes whoosh, and the other one goes whoosh. Okay, I'm coming back to
Skadoosh.
town.
Skadoosh.
Skadoosh. I guess technically, we're gonna start the podcast. I've kind of just given up on the. Oh, you look so noble, Keith. You got a nice shirt. I'm still wearing like weird shorts.
I have a stupid bucket on my head. It looks like I'm not wearing any pants at all, though. Okay, wait. Here. This is probably not even good for you. I just found this, but it has.
I can't even use it.
Okay, never mind. Let's sell it. I don't know why I even picked stuff up.
Me neither. God.
Nice.
That would just make life complicated.
That would just make life complicated.
Ding dong.
Why'd you have to go and make life so complicated?
So what have I been doing this week? Thanks for asking. I just finished my
Hey,
Dark Souls
not
3.
to interrupt you, but nobody asked. Not to interrupt, though. Sorry.
I finished my Dark Souls 3 stream, and apparently Old Demon King is like the hardest boss for me because I died to him about 10 times, and the runner-up to that, I died to Midir 3 times. So I guess apparently Old Demon King is the hardest boss in the game for Big J.
Interesting.
I know.
It's just, I don't know. It's just interesting. Like who? Oh, I guess we should. Let's go fight something.
Let's go. Okay, so where should we go?
What's the furthest? We do we beat some big monster or something?
We beat the first boss. He was like a jailer.
I don't know.
Find another way to the
ship
forest and
graveyard?
travel to Mervale's caverns.
Okay.
I think we have to go to the
We
ship
have the-
graveyard.
No, we got a Mervale's Caverns
I can't
waypoint.
Go to the ship's graveyard.
Teleport to me.
Mervale?
Can you
Wait,
do that?
Oh, I can't go to. Oh, you probably discovered it, Keith, and then I never did.
When? Okay, I
I
got
don't know. Yeah, it's like, can you teleport to me?
it. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
And now I have the waypoint. Oh my god! I
Now
missed
got
a bunch
the
of
waypoint.
waypoints
Now I
back
got
along the way.
Waypoint. Don't know what to say, point. Hair is turning gray, point. Getting kind of aged, point.
Getting.
I don't know.
That was good.
That last rhyme was exact. It was perfectly the perfect rhyme. Not easy.
It's not easy being me, you know.
Which one?
It's
This
the
is
perfect rhyme with
Marissa.
Keith.
So you... Wow, that's really cool, Justin. Nice work.
Thanks.
Pretty sweet.
You are doing so well.
Found a rare arrow quiver for you, Brett.
Welcome.
I found it, even though we all killed enemy.
I found it, and you're gonna have to be really nice to me if you actually want it.
Yeah, you owe me. You can have it, but you know, let's just say you owe me. All right, so you done with? Did you like finish the Dark Souls 3 run that you were doing on stream?
Yes. So I'm
Nice.
officially done with Dark Souls. Just sort of as a across the board.
Oh yeah.
Pretty exciting. I don't know.
Dominated it.
It took a while, but and I platinumed all 3, so I went from total newbie to like full on completing everything.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Triple plat. It's better than I did. I don't have the plat on 2.
Ha!
Yeah,
Noob.
but you don't have it on Demon Souls, so like I said, it sort of just makes me a little bit.
I know.
little
Yeah,
bit
dig out your old
better, 'cause-
PS3 so you can show us your account with the.
Ugh. You know, I'm finding it frustrating clicking on enemies while with this ranged weapon.
Really?
I
Yeah.
guess that makes sense. Well, what if you just use shift and then sort of just shoot arrows in their general direction?
I guess that's fair. Yeah, that works. Okay. Okay.
Greater mana flask. I needed that.
So, what was your favorite? What was your least favorite? Blah blah blah.
You know, I don't know. Honestly, right now, nothing's really coming to mind. I'm sort of just like, okay, I'm done with it, and I haven't really thought about it. But realistically, I think you talked about Demon Souls, and Dark Souls 3 is so much more like Demon Souls than like the more I think about it, the more I realize like how much it is very similar to Demon Souls. Like a lot of the bosses are very like think like High Lord Wolnir or like the tree. Almost like gimmicky bosses, and I think that there's part of the fan base that are like, oh, these are like the weird, easy bosses. But like these are the ones that I don't want to say they're my favorite. Like obviously I love Gale and stuff, but like realistically, I think these types of bosses are completely necessary. And some people I think would have been like, oh, these are wastes of bosses because they're boring or they're
ones
too easy.
specifically?
Like High Lord Wolnir. Or the tree, or Ancient Wyvern, anything that has like a gimmick that has like a quick kill, or you know what I mean. But like when you look back, all of the Demon Souls archdemons were gimmicks, all of them.
Yeah, they were, and I think they're memorable. You know, I mean, sure, when you run through on your third playthrough, then you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
But the first time it's kind of interesting. You got to figure out, okay, what do I do? Like Bed of Chaos. Everybody hates just because there's no way to consistently beat him, but he's very interesting. He's a lot more interesting than the other bosses. That's a weird example because I feel like universally hated, but
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a good boss. I will say that, but I would rather they try it and not succeed
and
once
fail,
in every blue moon than rather than make every single boss Artorias. Because Artorias was great because he was like, you got to him and you're like, wow, he is extremely challenging. Like if every single boss was like Artorias from the beginning of the game, it wouldn't have been as special. So like there's variety there that is absolutely necessary, and I applaud them for trying, even though some of them are complete flops, like Wolnir or like Curse Rotted Greatwood, stuff like that.
Yeah. I remember like struggling on Wolnir the first time I played or something, which is hilarious because he's so easy. He's running and beat that. I probably just had low DPS, so he had the chance to do his big, gas attack or whatever he does.
Yeah.
Whereas he just doesn't. He just kind of looks at me, and I get rid of that one bracelet, and I get rid of the other bracelet, and then I get rid of the other bracelet. And done.
Yep.
But it's cool. Like when you run through there, like you run in for the first time, and then you just see like this big skeleton face show up right in front of you. Oh man, it's amazing.
Oh, that is a good one. Now that I'm remembering it.
Well, and that's the thing. I would rather have an interesting boss fight than a super challenging boss fight. But I think that. But then I thought like, but I don't want that to apply to every boss. Like I want a Gale boss fight, and I want an Artorias boss fight. So it's like the variety is extremely important. And I think that especially Dark Souls 3, which is like very popularized, right? I think a lot more people play Dark Souls 3 than any other entry into this series. And a lot of people are going back and playing Dark Souls 1 because they played Dark Souls 3. And and I think Dark Souls 3 set a precedent where like the majority of bosses need to be essentially knight enemies. They're like humanoid and they have an attack set, move set, and you dodge them. And that's it, right? Which
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like,
is
well,
okay,
this
but
boss is fairly straightforward. They're just very hard, you know?
yes. Yeah, exactly. And I love those
tricks in
bosses.
this boss.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like Midir, I don't think honestly like Midir, I think he's not that engaging of a boss. He's just really unforgiving. And God damn, you keep jumping over there. We can't get over there.
I guess I found the exit.
Can we destroy this? No, okay. All right, we'll try to get around to you. But it's sort of like Midir reminds me of like a monotonous Dark Souls 2 boss. But everybody loves Midir and they say he's the hardest because there isn't really anything else like him in the game.
Is that a DLC boss?
Yeah.
As well?
Yeah, he's Ring the
Yeah.
City.
Okay, I haven't gotten there yet. I've been
Well-
slowly plugging away at my playthrough. I'm only past like board right now, or Vort, whatever it is.
Nice.
And what I like about him, that's nice, like random rares. I might. Do I want any of this? I don't know.
Why are
What
these
do I
all...
need? Are my slots important? I don't know.
Oh, I let them out. Maybe I shouldn't have done this.
No, we'll probably delete it.
Whispering, Essence of Hatred. I need one of those. No, I don't.
Oiled vest. I like
Um,
the sound of that.
Yeah, well, I think what's cool about Midir is that he's similar to some of the other enemies in that he, he's very difficult. He's not exactly straightforward, but he's very difficult, but he's not like a normal humanoid whatever.
Right.
So I think he's kind of neat. And I liked when you mentioned to me how you were like, oh yeah, it's like, there's the last dragon in this area and the last like human boss and the last like, what was the other one? Demon.
Gods. Yeah, like you kill the
Oh,
last
sweet.
demon, last dragon, last undead, because Gale theoretically has killed everyone else, and last gods.
Yeah.
Just Filianor.
Like when you explained that to me, I was like, oh, that's sweet.
Just like a genocidal
also-
monster.
Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah, did you see that? There's
Okay.
just a person. Yeah.
Spooky. But yeah, I really liked that because it was, cool from a story. Like they gave you a little bit more there from a story perspective than they usually do. And on top of that, it was sort of a convenient way for them to like, all right, let's close it out.
Yeah.
All the classic, Dark Souls style bosses we're gonna like throw one in here.
Yeah, agreed. I think the first time I played the Ring City, I found it abnormally challenging compared to the rest of the game. But then when I replayed it when I was on, when I was streaming, I think I loved it a lot more.
It's good.
Yeah, so I think you'll enjoy it when you get to it. Ariandel's really fun too, but there aren't that many bosses. There's only 2.
Okay.
Spoilers. Anyway, what have you all been up to? That's what I did this weekend. I finished up that.
What have you been playing, Brett?
I impulsively picked up a copy of Black Ops 4.
What do you think?
It's a lot of fun. So I guess
Nice.
they nixed the campaign in order to focus on the multiplayer and
Whoa, that's interesting.
blackout mode, which is basically battle royale, every man for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've pretty much only played that. I've played some regular multiplayer, and it's kind of funny because I would buy the Call of Duty games in the past just for the multiplayer. Because it's a lot of fun. But I've really only played blackout mode, and I keep forgetting that there's like this whole other game in there that I could be having fun with. So it's nice to switch back and forth once in a while. And
So Blackout's the battle royale mode.
yeah, and it's really fun. It's really fast paced, and I was kind of skeptical about a first-person shooter like Call of Duty being in that format, but it's really
I was interested.
It's really cool, and the game's go really fast. I mean, they're probably 15, 20 minutes at the max if you make it to like the top 15.
How many people are on the island or whatever?
It's 88, I think, when you play solo, and 100 when you're playing duo.
Ah.
So
Oh wow, not bad.
Yeah, the areas are really cool and diverse. There's a lot to explore and get to know. It's really quite interesting. There's a lot of healing items everywhere, and the healing is really, really fast. So, like, it's never really like you're never feeling too cautious about anything. So that makes it just a lot more fun and fast paced. Like, it's still just as quick as regular Call of Duty gameplay is. So that it's a lot of fun. Like, you're not sacrificing that mode being, I don't know, like losing what makes the game fun.
Yeah, that's neat.
I really enjoy it.
Do you know if there was a single player mode planned before they decided to add that Battle Royale mode?
No, I don't. So in the multiplayer mode, there's all sorts of specialists, kind of like most games are doing now, where there's like heroes that have their individual powers. So there's individual specialists that have different unique abilities, and there's a specialist HQ, which I guess has tutorial missions for each of the specialists, and it has like some small story bits that are. I was listening to the Giant Bombcast, and they said they're all really throwaway garbage stories. So they're kind of suspecting that that's what the story was going to be, and they were like, "Wow, this is terrible. Let's not do this." So.
I assume they have the metrics, like they can see of the past however many entries, how many people bought the game, played multiplayer. Because I think, like, how many people, and I would not advocate for anybody ever doing this, but I imagine there are people that buy it exclusively to play these campaigns that are usually very, very short. But I assume that like, Activision has the numbers to say, like, okay, of all the people that buy this, here's X percentage that have never even utilized any of the online features.
Right.
And I guess it was low enough that they said, I guess we don't need to cater to this anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to assume that had something to do with it. 'Cause, I mean, but Battlefield, well, I don't know. Battlefield has had campaigns, but and I don't know the data. I was going to use that as an example, but that's not a good one. But most multiplayer games that are just printing money are only multiplayer and don't have any single player to speak of. So
yeah, definitely.
Like, it kind of makes sense, and they just introduced like their Fortnite style battle pass thing where there's going to be cosmetics unlocking in 100 different levels or something like that. So they're shooting for that as well.
Oh no, I think it's smart. I just also think it's kind of interesting to think that someone would pay $60 for like a 4-hour campaign.
Yeah, they're always underwhelming too, and you get it over with to get the achievements, and then you go to the multiplayer for the duration.
Yeah, so I guess it was expensive enough for them to even make it in the first place, even though they were making fairly easy money off of a part of the game that, like, doesn't need any follow-up support or anything like that.
Yeah. It's cool to see how the Blackout mode came together. I'm under the impression it was kind of like a last-minute addition, because it's good, but it's a little rough around the edges. There's certain things that they've had to fix, like there was a glitch where the bag, like, everybody drops a bag when they die, and that's what you loot from, and for some reason you just couldn't navigate through the bag or like pick up certain items, and it was really frustrating. But they got that out of the way.
How's the map? How are the maps for it? Are there multiple, or
for like the multiplayer, or just the
for Battle Royale? Sorry.
It's just the one map, and I think that there's a lot of multiplayer maps that are like based around just one sector of that big map. There's like a Nuketown Island, which Nuketown's like a really famous Black Ops map.
That sounds familiar.
Really popular one, yeah. But it's really cool. I mean, it's very diverse. There's like a pretty cool set of mansions that I like to go to every time. Little towns. It's fun. I never feel like I land in the wrong place. It's good.
Yeah.
There's definitely times when I'm running around with no gun though, and that's I guess that's natural.
That's interesting. Do you start with a knife at least or something?
You got fists. You have 2 fists. And and there's actually what makes it kind of interesting is there's like how Call of Duty's always had perks. They have like droppable, the consumable perks, and so it's a lot of the similar stuff like louder footsteps or your footsteps are silent or
Those bandits.
it's get like a
The
locator for loot
What would you
and
like
stuff
to-
like that.
I've read about. I
And
embrace.
so you find them everywhere, and they take up an inventory slot for the duration of their existence, like whether you consume them or not. So if
You
you
and
consume it, it still takes up
Jerome.
an inventory slot,
Yeah, yeah.
which makes it kind of tricky.
I am
But
a beast
it's really
hunts.
cool. It spices it up,
Erimir was a
all the
wild.
different perks, and
Silk knows more. The forest children have-
the flashbangs and whatnot are really overpowered right now, though. There's this thing called a 9-bang, and if you get hit by it, you can't turn or see or hear anything. Well, like your turning is really, really slow. It just completely debilitates you,
Mm.
and it's frustrating.
Yeah, in a mode like that, especially, like, I feel like
Yeah.
that would be pretty frustrating.
Yeah. But oof, it's good though. I'm enjoying
Nice.
it. It's fun. I like that mode.
Cool.
It doesn't feel like Fortnite. I got really frustrated with the gimmick of building in Fortnite. It's just so
I was about to
tedious. and it's
joke, like,
not-
yeah, but how's the building?
it's just not something I want to learn. It's
You
definitely
think
going more in the like PUBG
Silk is
route.
not- They fall.
Mm.
But
This is our home.
yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see how it grows.
so
It's
you
interesting because I
are
mean these games come out on a yearly basis, so I don't know if it's gonna be the type of game where Treyarch in their 3-year tenure with Black Ops 3 Black Ops 4. I don't know if they're gonna continue to update it or what's gonna happen. Like if it's just gonna get left by the wayside, but
Yeah, yeah.
should be fun to see. I haven't played duos or anything yet, so I don't know how it is in that aspect.
I want to get some more dexterity, but I don't know, like, where.
I mean,
where
I
it
think
is in this list.
Fortnite's like, PUBG was the first, but it was such a mess. Like normally the rule is, first to market is always best. But in this case, Fortnite, like it was such a clear improvement. But like you said, the building is just like some people just don't care.
Yeah.
And
I
then
don't find it fun to just lay bullets into wall after wall after wall. Like that just isn't
Yeah.
fun to me.
right, and so then what happens then is, sorry, I'm trying to like put shit in my inventory. There we go. Armor scrap. Yeah, so then it's sort of like, okay, well, we want exactly PUBG, but not PUBG because the dev team was just not prepared for this type of expansion. So who better than a AAA publisher,
I greet you.
I guess at this point,
Bruce
to fill
stands
that
for
gap?
truth.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
this is like the real first
Remember
AAA
to
push for a PUBG style game, like a battle royale.
Mm-hmm. And does it feel like it's just they're just like hopping on the bandwagon now?
Kind of, but I mean it's different in its own way where it doesn't feel gross or anything. Because I mean it works. I think PUBG's biggest problem is that it's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
like this game just works. It's quick and it feels good. Feels like Call of Duty, and it's also got that mode. And they beat Battlefield to the market with it because Battlefield's got their own mode coming like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, maybe I had heard about that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Excited to see where it goes.
Me too. I'm glad to see
surely
people
generate
putting
lots
more
of money.
thought into it and
Mhm.
how people like innovate on it. I don't know. I think people like open world stuff, and they've been forced to just, to get that, they've been forced to put up with just garbage games for a really long time.
Yeah.
Really, really long time. And Fortnite was the first thing that wasn't garbage in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Not saying PUBG is garbage. Like, I enjoyed PUBG, but in some ways it was.
Well, I don't think they were responsive enough. They were just not able to.
It took a really long time, I feel like, for them to sort of iterate and make things better.
Yeah, I just don't think that there was enough. They just didn't react fast enough to the problems that people saw with the games. I'm not sure though. That's the impression I got. People like found bugs, or like performance was poor, and people are like, man, if you just fix these, this would be the hottest game. And they didn't do it fast enough, and it grew faster than they expected, such that there were so many people waiting for an alternative or for them to just fix it, and then they just weren't quick enough.
You know it.
Whenever y'all guys are ready, we can.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Okay.
I see Brent in town. Where are you? It's like it says you're in town, but I don't see where you are. Oh, there you are. I went to the old fields. So what about you, Keith? What have you been up to?
Well, I have been. Let's see. Are you okay? Old fields. Let's see. I was like looking into Divinity 2 a little bit. Let's see. I mean, I've already played through Divinity 2, but I was just sort of like, I was listening to a lot of Critical Role, and it was like getting me interested in like just building some other characters. And but I don't know, you know. And so I was like, well, there's Tactician mode, which is significantly harder. So I like started it, but we'll see if I actually, you know, go through it. I think I'm like looking for another another game. So if you guys come across anything, let me know. I'm sort of waiting. I'm hoping that Fallout 76 would be decent. I was sort of like looking at reviews, and like they weren't bad. Like, I mean, they weren't, you know, it's just impressions. It's not reviews or anything yet, but not enough for me to like pre-order. So we'll see. That could be pretty fun. That could be like something I could sink some time into. Jen and I have been doing like the Overwatch Halloween event, and just sort of like our basic, you know, let's take that staple games and that kind of thing. And that's about it. Yeah, I don't have like too much. I'm sure that I don't know. We've been watching a lot of shows, you know, and I know you have like too, Justin, in terms of like, I don't know, around Halloween time we like to watch a lot of horror movies and horror shows and things like that, and you know, we're carving jack-o'-lanterns and doing that kind of thing. But we started watching like The Haunting of Hill House, which I know that you've been watching. What episode are you on?
I've only watched 2. I started it last week, and I watched the first episode, and I was like, this is great, and then I didn't watch it again for like a week.
Yeah. It seems like it's going to be like a, you know, they focus, at least until, you know, they get all the exposition out of the way and everything. Obviously, there's a lot of, you know, flashbacks, but it seems like they're sort of doing, you know, one particular character per episode or something like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice until like after the 3rd episode, I was like, you know, but I mean, you've seen the first 2, so you kind of know, you know, I focused on the guy in the first one and focused on the girl in the next one.
Yep.
So then I started realizing after the 3rd one, I was like, oh, that's interesting. They're kind of doing, you know, one person per episode. So I think that's kind of a neat way to do it, and we'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have you, so, okay, you said you watched like the first 2 episodes. I don't know if we're like supposed to like the main guy yet.
Yeah, I can't really tell. Yeah, like that.
All the other characters seem to hate him.
I suspect at the end it's just going to be like, but the real scary thing was the fact that our family was broken for so many years. You know what I mean? And then they're all a happy family at the end of it. That's pretty much what I'm expecting. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the first episode had enough intrigue to it where it's like it's one of those shows you can tell is going to reveal just bits and pieces to you over time. So I'm like, okay, I can I can get into
that,
this.
Like, trickle of information. And but I dig I mean, I think there need to be more shows. I mean, maybe not anymore. I know there have been like a lot lately, but more like horror shows. I think part of the reason that The Walking Dead did so well when it first came out, and I know, like, obviously, it's about the people more than it's about the zombies. But I sort of think that one of the reasons it was so successful is because there just weren't too many horror shows. And when you think of the ones that had existed before that, I don't know, like, I mean, people really liked Buffy and Angel, and, like, despite their flaws, people dig that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's Supernatural and stuff like that, but
it's like fantasy, but also spooky.
Yeah, when they steer into the horror, I think when they steer into the horror aspect of it, I think that you know, a certain crowd gets pretty you know, gets on board.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing with Haunting of Hill House. Other like Netflix originals and stuff. We got you know, we're a little backlogged, but been watching The Good Place. There's a lot of Netflix stuff. Like there's season 2 of Iron Fist, but now I know that I'm sorry, Luke Cage, and now I know that that's canceled.
And Iron Fist,
So I'm
both.
like, yeah, and I haven't watched season 2 of either of them.
Luke
Season
Cage.
2 of Iron Fist, like it, you know, it was definitely not as good as the other ones, and some of the characters weren't very likable, but I couldn't tell if it, you know, it was on purpose. So I mean, it was something to watch. You know, it's like better than a lot of stuff. It's better than most shows. I guess I'll say that.
Yeah, I agree.
But-
Like I like them, but not enough to really be hooked. You know what I mean? Like I
completely
just
agree. Yeah.
I find myself not necessarily bored, but like a little more distracted than usual with those shows, to the point where like I almost just watch them out of obligation, which is I mean, that basically means I shouldn't watch them.
Do you just
but-
mean the Marvel shows in general?
Yeah, I mean, Daredevil season 1 was great. Season 2 was okay, and it spawned its own show, which was good, which was Punisher. But like the villains, typically you look at it, it's like if the villains are interesting, then the shows are good, and when they're not interesting, the shows aren't good. And I feel like they just feel very sanitized, and I hate to make that argument because I know how stupid it sounds, but they feel sanitized to the point where like the drama feels like you feel like you're supposed to feel a certain way, but don't really naturally.
Yeah.
But
know
you're like,
what you
okay,
mean.
I think I understand what they're trying to make me feel here, but I don't. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just and in Luke Cage in particular, without going into without spoiling it, there's a character that everybody really liked, and then they I thought was like cool, and then they killed that character, and and I couldn't see. I mean, I could see sort of narratively, but like in terms of, you know, wanting people to enjoy your show, I just couldn't understand that decision. So that was something.
I think maybe they
I
just didn't
think
realize
that
how
hurt
much
it.
people would like him until after the
Yeah.
show was already out. I don't know though.
Yeah.
Did
And
you say
then,
that show's canceled? I'm sorry to
Luke
interrupt.
Cage also
Yeah,
was
yeah.
canceled. Yeah.
Luke Cage is canceled too. Iron Fist first, and then Luke Cage. That's where we came
Really?
from.
Wow.
I think this is the right
Yep.
way. We hadn't come this way yet.
Daredevil season 3's out, and we gotta watch that. We're interested in that. We like Daredevil and Jessica Jones. But I haven't watched Daredevil season 3 yet. Supposedly they, you know, don't end anything. They sort of leave it open to continue the story. So, you know, who knows what'll happen. I think maybe they just got a little further than they thought they would. Like they didn't think that everyone would love them so much.
Yeah.
Oh, who knows?
Well, Defenders was cool, but again, it's just like I think all the acting talent worked really well, and like all their interactions were good, but like I just didn't really care about the hand.
Yeah.
I don't think really anybody did. That's why it got the reception that it did. I don't know.
Just generic, like we need some
Yeah.
like nameless, literally faceless, because they're all wearing masks, like enemies for our heroes to just kill. So we have this generic, you know, ninja clan.
Well, look at I mean, it's the same with the films. The best of the films had the best villains, like Black Panther, Infinity War, Civil War. Like again, what was the second? Winter Soldier. Again, they all had the most interesting.
It's all about the villains for the most part, I find.
Yeah, and the films where it's like an origin story strictly, and then the villain is kind of hemmed into the second part of the film, like, oh, this was their friend at the beginning of the film, and then they came of age and they learned their powers, and this person actually had a different agenda, and you're like, I don't care. Like, Spider-Man was great, and it was received really well, and we didn't have to see Uncle Ben die for the 3rd time in a decade. And we didn't need to see him get bit by a spider for the 3rd time in a decade. It's like, we get it, all right? He's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's the name of the movie.
Yeah. At least they acknowledge that. They're like, yeah, we're gonna make a 3rd one, but okay, we're not gonna pretend that these other 2 movies don't exist. Well, 4, I guess, really, but like other 2 separate origin stories don't exist.
Well, and Tom Holland was just a great fit for that role. So I
thought so too.
It all fit together. And Vulture was good. Michael Keaton was good. Like the reimagining of that villain. Again, it's like always. It's usually you need a good acting talent to pull you in the right direction, but then you also need a villain that isn't just like crammed in there for the sake of being in there because they're like, well, they need a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like Doctor Strange, obviously Benedict Cumberbatch is great, but the ending of that movie. Like, it's a weird movie, but like I just didn't really care about who the villain was or what they were trying to do. Wasn't as interesting.
Yeah, I think they got to take notice of that. It's always all about the villain, you know. Not always. I mean, Iron Man, you know.
Yeah.
Can survive on its own to a certain extent because the main guy is. What the fuck was that? Did you guys just beat up Thor or what?
I don't know who that was.
But yeah, I you know. I think, you know, in Thor, like, the only reason that anybody gave a shit about Thor was because Loki was cool. Until Thor 3, which some people didn't like, but at least...
It was weird.
It was very weird, but at least they're like, all right, Thor can be kind of funny. And which isn't... A lot of people disagree, but, like no one would have liked or cared about Thor ever again. Like, if there was a good Thor movie, it would have been because of Loki, or if they came up with a good villain.
Yeah, it was just so disconnected from everything.
Yeah, this way at least he can be, you know, it's a little silly to have every superhero be funny too, but yeah.
I kind of, like, the humor is weird in a way, but it's also a bit reminiscent of the comics where there usually is a sense of humor with it. Especially Spider-Man, but
oh yeah,
I don't know. I'm starting to appreciate it more, but like I just think the execution is a little off in some of the movies.
In some of them, yeah.
It's got to be balanced. It's got to be
like
balanced.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I really found that movie insufferable.
Well, that's a good thing James Gunn then isn't going to be doing the 3rd one for different reasons.
Yeah.
Magma Orb.
Speaking of Spider-Man, though, Keith, have you considered picking up the PS4 game?
Oh shit! I should. I bet we would love it. You know, that was one of those games where we just we were like paying attention to it and watching it. We're like, oh wow, this looks really cool. This looks really cool. This looks really cool. We're totally gonna get that. We're like super excited about it. We see the trailer at E3, and then it comes out, and we're like, whatever, you know. And everyone loves it, and we just don't buy it for some reason. Maybe we're playing another game at the time. I don't know. Oh my god, you know what we've been playing that I knew there was more, but I just couldn't remember. Jen and I played through Portal in Portal 2. She had never played through Portal, which is, God, that's a great game. It's really, really unique. It's still incredibly unique. And so we really enjoyed that. You know, first one's not very long, so I just sort of, you know, watched her play through the first one. And then we did the co-op of the second one, which I had never done before. So that's pretty good.
Really fun. It's kind of hard, huh?
Yeah.
Especially the last mission. I remember the last mission being particularly a bastard.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. In the co-op, the last mission's nuts. We were like, Jen was like right at that point where she's like, God, I'm done. And I was like, that's good because I think.
It's the end.
It's over. Yeah. All right. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, it was like, you know, both of us were getting frustrated with that game at times. Like, just in a good way. Like, it was, you know, it was tough, some of those puzzles. And occasionally there was something, and this happened in like the last mission, where it was just like, okay, there's just a panel that's like in the corner of the room. In fact, there were like 2 of them at least in the last mission. 2 panels that were like pretty hidden. So you just didn't have all the ingredients and you didn't know it. So you spent a real long time thinking about it. And then you're like, oh shit, there's just a panel down here. Okay, fuck. You could just teleport there. You know, it'd be something like that. So yeah, we got a little bit of that, but and then we're playing through the the second game single player, just kind of switching off, and that's good too. I mean, I think they did a good job. They did a good job with it. They changed the story up. I think it had everything that people liked about the original Portal, but enough new stuff. And I mean, you know, they added to the story significantly. They added to the mechanics. There was just more of it.
Yeah,
And
they took what worked and they made it better.
yeah, that's what I think.
I loved the writing in that game. I thought it was hilarious. It
Me
was really
too.
well done.
Dude, Wheatley's awesome. Stephen Merchant.
Yes.
And I mean, like, GLaDOS is great too. Cave Johnson is fucking great. Like, you think the game's over, and then you get to the part with, like, you're in a dump or something. I mean, it's exactly like the first game where you think the game is over in spite of yourself. Like, you played the first one, and I'm not particularly concerned with spoiling Portal 2. So
It's pretty old now. Don't worry.
It's been $1 for like.
Yeah. Wheatley betrays you and then, like, dumps you into a garbage chute or something,
Yes.
and you have GLaDOS coming along with you, like, in a potato. Like, they put a potato, whatever the fuck it is.
Oh god.
Like, yeah, potato battery on GLaDOS, and then and I don't even totally remember, like, because we're not through it yet, but, like, they sort of implying that maybe, like, you know, it's like Wheatley sort of takes GLaDOS's place, and then it seems to be like maybe the apparatus is like what makes the robot evil, and they're not necessarily, like, GLaDOS still has her same personality, but she's not exactly evil. She's helping you. So there's some interesting stuff there. And, like, so you think the game's over, and then you drop down the sewers. There are these totally different puzzles where it's like you're kind of subverting the game a little bit. You don't have puzzles that are set up for you. You're, you know,
fluids, right?
using what you learn and, like, subverting it. You get to the fluids. You have these, like, Cave Johnson, like, J.K. Simmons voiceovers that are fucking hilarious. And the puzzles are totally different. So it's awesome. Both of those games are really awesome. And it's one of very few games. I mean, you always see that thrown out when people are like, hey, what's, like, the best co-op? What are the best co-op games to play with my significant other? And people always throw out Portal 2. You know, it can be, like, frustrating and stuff, or people always say that, like, oh, you know, test your marriage, blah, blah, blah. But it really is one of the best co-op games.
Oh yeah.
Test.
Who says test your marriage?
Every
About
time
Portal
it's mentioned
2.
on Reddit, they'll be like, yeah, if you divorce, you know, you should play Portal 2 with your significant other.
Are these the same people that say that Dark Souls is the hardest game ever?
Yes.
It's like
They're
bizarre,
exactly
yeah,
the same
bizarre
people.
hyperbole about games.
Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah, you know, a while back when Terrace had gotten a new computer, I was like, you should try some of these games, because she has never really been a big gamer, so I tried getting her a few different things that she liked. Like, she really liked Plants vs. Zombies and stuff like that, so I got her Portal, but I don't think she ever tried it. I think it was like right before she was about to get busy. But that makes me think that, like, it sounds like it's held up, so I'll have to revisit it.
Totally does. And Portal 2 looks a lot better than the original, but the original is not bad. I thought, like, we were playing it for... Oh man, this game is, like, doesn't look that great, and things like controls are weird. And then I realized that, like, the settings were just like bad. That was, like, running at a really low resolution. I was like, oh yeah, that's way better.
That explains it.
Yeah, I turned down the, like, sensitivity a little bit, and it's just like, you know, it's in an old game, so it probably doesn't have that, like, auto tuning set in or something. I don't know. So. Yeah, you just pay a little attention to that and set it up.
Well, that's good to know. It's a good to know.
Silver coin.
Trying to make my way up to the fire tree. Let's see what's the best way to get there.
Making my way uptown, going to the fire tree, and I'm home down.
So I have a somewhat different topic change here.
Do it.
And I'm not going to try to make this into anything where everyone's asshole clenches shut because they feel that it's controversial. I was talking about it right before we started. But we live in a politically polarized era, and I think, like, on my Discord, for example, I'm always like hoping no one ever wants to talk about politics because you just think it's going to be a disaster. And interestingly enough, there's been one person, there've been a couple people who are like willing to talk about it, and it's been fine. And I realize that we all these days, and I don't want to talk about politics right now. I want to talk about talking about politics, which is you automatically assume if anyone even brings something up, you automatically assume it's in bad faith. They want to have an argument in bad faith. And if you actually give some people the time of day, and that's mostly because, like, oh, you're reading on Reddit and things like this, but if you actually are, like, talking to a person one-on-one, even if it's online, I think a lot of people aren't necessarily having a conversation in bad faith. You just assume that they're going to, so you just want to avoid it. And you just are like, I'm not giving this time of day.
Off on a bad foot or something.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, I don't know, I just found it interesting because we live in a very interesting time. There's a big election coming up, and with the midterms, that's gotten a lot more attention than usual. And, like, I have, relative on YouTube, not a lot of subscribers, but enough where I'm like, if I can even get one person to register to vote, I don't care for who. I feel like maybe I've done something meaningful rather than just like, oh, someone listens to my videos when they're going to sleep. Great, some entertainment. But, like, actually something impactful. If one person who otherwise wouldn't have registered to vote or actually vote is going to do it because I reminded them to, I don't know. Just the thought of that is a nice feeling. And and then on the Discord, I've been talking about, some political stuff, and I don't know. It's actually been fine. I guess that's all I really have to say. It's, like, surprisingly fine.
Yeah.
It's civil,
Yeah, people are willing to talk even though you don't agree.
I don't know who could argue with just, like, trying to get people to vote,
Right, yeah.
and the way I say it, so I already voted. It actually, the way I did it was not worth it. It was like, I was like, oh, I guess I could just early vote. Like, I have time. I could just go and early vote. And then I had to, like, drive. I should have just done absentee. That's what, like, Jen and my parents do. And they've all already voted and stuff. But it's just, you do it from home and it's easier. But so I, like, drove there. I had to, like, drive downtown and stuff. And then, like, so just the drive alone ended up making it take an hour.
Oh,
but, like,
yeah.
Then I looked at, like, where my actual polling location was. It was literally within walking distance of my house. And I was like, well, I should just go on voting day. But I think, like, for next time, like, we should all just, I feel like I should just do, like, absentee or something. Anyway, it was like, I don't know. It's not bad. Like, it's generally not bad if you go. Like, the lines aren't particularly long, and the way and everybody will say, like, well, I don't think my vote will matter or whatever. Like, are you kidding yourself? I think your vote will matter. And so I always just say, like, it'll matter as much as everybody else's does, but more than that, like, for me, it's like I feel like I can't make a comment about politics or anything if I don't vote. Like, this is me earning my right to have an opinion on politics or anything like that.
Really, what right do you have to speak out against something if you had no say in it?
It's not like, do it out of, like, a personal responsibility kind of thing, not a, like, it gives me a smug sense of self-satisfaction that I went and I did my part. So if anybody, steps to me, then I can be like, yeah, well, I voted.
I actually voted in the midterms, not the presidential election.
Midterms.
Well, that's the other thing, too. I think a lot of people get heated up over presidential election years, but realistically, your state representatives and local representatives have as much, if not more, of an impact on your daily life.
Oh, yeah.
And I like your governor election and your state represent. Oh my God! Look at these spiders. Are, like, just as important, but they don't get as much attention. So, like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I finally crossed that age where I'm no longer a young person, where I'm the age of someone who typically does vote in the midterm elections now. Like, I feel like I care a lot more about civics now than I ever did. And I don't know if it's just because the climate that we're in politically. I think it's partly that, but also because, again, I'm old enough now where people my age now tend to just start caring about this stuff more.
That's what I wonder myself. Because, like, I look back to the era when, you know, I was a kid, and I wasn't really paying attention. And I was actually listening to some Mark Maron comedy, and it was in that era. And he sounds just... I mean, I'm not going to make any comments, but, you know, he's pretty much feeling the same as he did then as he does about the times now. So it's like, oh, well, maybe I'm just paying attention.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell sometimes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I have no idea whether it's like...
I'm with you, though. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I care more, if I read more, or if it's really a weird thing.
Well, I'd like to think it's because... I'd like to outright think it's because I'm paying attention. But on the other hand, again, I know, like, statistically, I have just crossed into the age of where people tend to just pay attention now. So I'm like, maybe that's just it. Maybe that's all it is, and it's not because I'm suddenly, like, a diligent and caring person. I've just, like, crossed that statistical boundary. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like, the transmission of information is faster now. Like, with Twitter being so popular, with everything else. Like, it's more information. It's more readily available for us to learn about what's going on as well.
My God, this is such a mess.
Yeah, what?
What is happening here? I'm just running in and hitting switches where I can find them.
And then the other thing, like, you know, in terms of, like, local they districts to a certain extent and things like that, so they can, you know, dramatically affect. Did I do it? I think we did it.
Yeah, touch the plaque.
We have to solve the trial. Wait, what is this?
I think we just did, and because now it has like you know, now we have 2 marks because we did like the first one the other place.
Cool. Yeah, and then you can warp back to the front.
Other stuff like issues, like that's huge. The issues that'll show up: issue 1, issue 2, issue 3.
Yep.
Like there's stuff right now like you know, it's the difference between like, you know, marijuana possession being a felony or a misdemeanor. Like that's so dramatic. Like that's
Ohio. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. That's
I didn't know
like,
that. That's on the ballot for there. Wow. Good for you.
Yeah. At least Cleveland. I don't know. I don't know if it's
guess.
Ohio or in general, but like
it's crazy to me.
You know, and stuff like, you know, because that affects like how many people are in prison and stuff like that. How much, you know, taxpayer money goes towards that sort of thing. I mean, however you feel about it. But I mean, different issues like local things like that could directly affect your life.
I think marijuana legalization is kind of an interesting one where, and I'm going to use this as an example just because I don't think it's really that controversial.
Yeah, it's pretty non-touchy. Yeah.
But because, well, there's so many states where it's legalized, where it's one of those where poll after poll over years now, the majority of the American people do not think it's controversial to want to legalize marijuana, but it's sort of presented in a manner as if it is controversial.
Yeah.
And it's that way with a lot of issues, and I don't need to get into all of them, but a lot of issues that are considered controversial really are not socially controversial at all.
You look at the polls.
Yeah, but the way they're presented makes it seem like it's a core voting issue. And I find that to be particularly interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. But you gotta like read those things carefully. Like there were certain things that I was, you know, occasionally some of the issues could mean the exact opposite of what it seems like they do.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think some of that stuff when I lived in Columbus, but
yeah, it's crazy when you look up the way that some of them are worded. Like there was one, I think it was in Ohio, where they talked about setting up a board of voting ethics, like a voting ethics board of 6 people, right? But as it turned out, one of the, and you're like, oh well, that sounds good, right? But as it turns out, one of those already existed. But they were saying that they wanted to reduce the number of people, but it wasn't an issue to reduce it. It was an issue to just let's have one for 6 people. But one already existed of 7 people, and they wanted to reduce it to 6 so that it would be partisan. But anybody who goes in to vote would just see it as, oh well, of course this seems like a good thing to have, right? So you'd vote yes on it. It's just like blatant. It's, I would call it a lie because it might as well be.
They shouldn't get to decide the wording of their own, you know, issues. I think there was something in Columbus when I lived there where it was like something like it was talking about marijuana legalization, but it would have it was very vague in the way it was worded, and the way it actually would have been executed is it would have created like a monopoly on the sale of marijuana in Columbus or Ohio or something, probably Ohio. That was like, you know, only like a couple people, like a couple groups would be able to sell. So it would have just, I mean, there were a lot of people who were very in favor of like marijuana decriminalization or legalization or something, but they were like, no, do not do this. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be bad. Here, there's a ring on the ground that might be useful for you.
Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Thank you. That is... I think it's, as I read about stuff like that, and like voter suppression also, is like how fragile this stuff is. Like, if the people in power are the ones writing the issues, and they, like, if they are trying to effectively fool you, they're blatantly trying to fool you with the way that it's worded, it makes you realize how fragile, like, things don't just work out. And I think that's what, I never really learned when I was younger. You just kind of assume, like, things keep going, the world turns. But in reality, this stuff is very fragile, or it can be if it's abused. And that's scary. And maybe it's because I'm getting older now when that's become more apparent to me. I don't know.
Also seems worse.
It does, yeah. It definitely seems worse now.
That
but
sort of thing.
No, I'd have to ask my parents next time I talk to them, like, is it worse now than it was when they were younger also? Because, like, Vietnam and all that kind of stuff was obviously really contentious.
Closest they got, yeah.
What a time to be alive. Anyway, yeah, I didn't want to, like, bring up anything, again, controversial or, you know, but...
Yeah. But, you know, everybody go vote.
Yeah, go vote. I mean...
Shouldn't be controversial.
In America.
In America, if you're an adult and a citizen. But if...
you don't live in America, don't vote!
Don't... And if you're not registered, if you go and you find out you're not registered, you can request a provisional ballot, and then you can prove your citizenship after you cast your ballot.
Oh, really?
It's your legal right.
You know, and if you disagree with me politically, like, I recommend committing, you know, like, light victimless felonies.
Yeah. Guess, yeah, at the end of the day, I think people are just scared.
When is the election?
Scared
It's November? Yeah. How soon is the actual election?
It's November 6th. That's Tuesday
November
the 6th, or is it the 5th?
For most
it's a Tuesday.
states, right? Is it the same for every state, or?
Yeah, it's November 6th nationwide, pretty sure.
Oh, okay. It'll be
Nice.
very interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I was on John Oliver this week, too, and it was you know, I don't have to mention the party because that's not really the important thing here. It's that they were sending out mailers. They claimed it was a mistake, but they were sending out mailers saying that election day, it was to targeted voters saying that election day was on the wrong day.
Jesus Christ. I you know, and I think this shouldn't be controversial either, but I feel like if people are found to be, like, deliberately trying to subvert the, you know, whether it's an elected official or otherwise, if they're found to be trying to subvert the democratic process, there should be some penalty. Like, it can't be a thing where it's like, hey, you're not supposed to do that, but it's too late.
Exactly, yeah. Well, we missed our shot, yeah.
Therein lies the issue. So.
Yeah. There needs to be some sort of deterrent.
Right.
You're just doing shit that fucks everything up, and then, oh, it's too late. I guess we're not going to punish you.
No, I mean, everything is just so polarized now. Like, you can't talk about the issues without your party being at the forefront. You're like, look, what if we just ignore the parties? I mean, obviously, this is what I'm saying. It's impossible. But hypothetically, if you take an issue, I think, like the voter, like, sending out the wrong day on a mailer. Like, if the agnostic of party, I think 100% of people should see that and say, that's wrong. That's that's blatantly wrong, right? And I don't have to tell you who did it, right? So, like, address each of these as they come, regardless of who, you know, the party, and then when you reveal what party is doing it, you will see a pattern. But I think I don't know, that's That's the problem. But as soon as you say, like, oh, well, I'm on this side of the issue, you're just ignored. People don't care because they're like, well, you're out to you're making this political. You're out to get the other side. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation.
Yeah. It would be nice if, like, you know, we could all agree on just some, like, basic ground rules. I assume we just go back to the crypt level 1. I don't know where
I think we should just portal out of here. I'd like to go back to town and sell some stuff.
Me too. That's probably a good time to stop anyway. Like,
Yeah, I guess.
yeah, my inventory's just like full of stuff.
Crap. Yeah. I'm gonna go sell stuff. Yeah, it's been about an hour.
Been about an hour.
How do I? What's
The white
going
beast.
on? Where's the portal? All right.
You gotta make one.
I have one. There we go. Okay. Jesus. I probably could have just portaled onto one of you guys. I'm a ding dong.
He's a ding dong. He's a ding dong. He's a ding dong. He's a ding dong. I'm gonna take this.
You are dream tender.
Quest
I just
complete.
get too many of these weird things that I don't know what any of them do in my inventory. You know what I'm talking about? Like just a million little
like
whispering
currency points.
hatred. What is that?
What is it? I see you doing that hand thing. What is it?
Oh, I'm not gonna be around next week. I'm going to Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Nice.
No, Brett, no.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah, yes.
I'm jealous.
It's gonna be a hot one.
I have a golden hand. What do I do with that?
What do I do when I want to use something, but I can't? It won't fit in my inventory. You know what I mean? You cannot drop that item here. Destroy it instead. I don't want to destroy it. Jesus Christ.
Destroy it.
Destroyed.
Burr.
Quest complete.
True to you.
Give it to Yena. Give it to Yena.
To Yima?
What the hell? Interesting. Survival skills,
That would
survival
just make life
instinct.
complicated.
What the fuzzuck?
Like, this game is great, but every so often I just hit a thing where I'm like, I don't understand any of this.
Yeah,
like, at all.
I know. There's too many weird things. Like, do you think it used to be somewhat simple, and then just over several years, adding more and more stuff to the game, now it's like, what the fuck?
That's what it seems like, yeah. Also, the amount of loot is very overwhelming.
I know. Like, I barely have any room to hold, like, items in my inventory because there's so many of these weird little gadgets.
Gadgets. Cool. Well, we can end the podcast here unless y'all got anything else you want to talk about.
Hell
Nope.
nah.
Hell no.
Love it.
Nah, I got nothing.
Cool.
I want to play more Dark Souls.
Yeah, get to it.
No.
Yeah, man. If you haven't played the DLC, I really enjoyed both of them.
Cool.
But especially, did you like Ring City better, Justin?
I like.
Both of them. I liked both of them quite a bit.
I
but-
know. I honestly, I liked. It almost felt like they were supposed to be both the same DLC, and they split them into two.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right because they're obviously related in a weird way.
Yeah.
It really does sort of feel like that. But then also, I do remember you mentioned. I agree with you. Like the first part of Ring City is, I mean, it starts slow. You know, it's not that great until it, and then it totally changes and gets a lot better in my opinion.
Yeah. Agreed.
Oh well.
Looking forward to it. Looking
Yeah.
forward to getting to it.
Looking forward to you getting to look for you to look forward to it.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Yay. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream here. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. And if you are put off by our political talk, don't worry. We probably will never bring it up even remotely again.
We're all fearing for our lives now.
As I'm waiting for, mean comments or something. You think everyone should vote? Fucking idiot. All right. Well, we'll see everyone next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Jayborino YouTube gaming channel, and maybe if YouTube would actually advertise the streams, then more people would watch it. So get on it, YouTube.
It is hard. Like, I go to your just homepage and it like doesn't even tell me that you're streaming.
Sometimes, yes. Most of the time it does. And for some reason, I'm looking now and it's not there, which is extremely frustrating. So if people just don't see it, then they're not going to come. So I'm going to, I don't know. I'll look more into it and see if there's a problem on the back end.
Okay.
Story of my life.
All right, bye,
guys.
everybody.
See ya.
All right. Bye, friends.